Hello. So today we're going to talk about ice baths. So on my personal page, a few days ago, maybe almost a week now, I posted about how I came home from work and my husband had the sauna nice and hot and the ice bath ready to go. It was a wonderful 34 degrees that day, and just how excited I was. And so I started to get a lot of questions about it and thought I would come on here and talk about it a little bit more in detail in case some of you might be interested in incorporating that into your practice. So for me, I was introduced to ice baths probably about maybe 6 years ago now, I think. I was in New Jersey at the time, and there were a couple of guys that were doing the Wim Hof method. They did a workshop and they were doing the Wim Hof breathing. And then at the end, you got into an ice bath. So I was like, well, I can do some of it. I'm not going to get into an ice bath, but I can do some of it. Breath work sounded great. So I went, and the breath work was amazing and they did a great job. They still do workshops. I believe they have a location of their own now. I'll post a link to it. I know that they do retreats all the time. This month they're doing a retreat in Ireland. And let's see if I can get it to post here. Oh, I'll have to post it afterward. They're doing a retreat in Ireland this month. I know they do a retreat in Maine. They've done several in Maine, and they've done fire walking and that kind of thing. So it's really cool if you ever get a chance to do one of their workshops or one of their retreats. It's great. The website is ignitesadhana.com. And like I said, I'll get the link in there in the comments of the post. So you can look into that if you're in the area, or maybe if you want to do one of their retreats, either in Maine or, like I said, in January this month, they're doing it in Ireland. So I'm the kind of person that does not even like a second of cold. I don't like water in general. If I were to get into a pool, it's got to be like 80 degrees. I'm just not a water sign. So that's not my thing. And so especially cold water is just, it's hard. And for most people, it would be hard, right? Now, I don't think anybody says, oh yeah, that's going to be easy. Even my husband, who's from Maine, who had gone swimming in cold water in Maine, many times throughout his life. And it's still not something that somebody's like, yeah, I like jumping into cold water. It's just not something you come across often. So I did it. I got in and I felt amazing. It was the best night's sleep I had ever had at that point, between the hours of breath work and then the ice bath. So getting through the ice bath, it was really helpful to have the breath work experience first. So if you want to learn some of that breath work, there's lots of ways, to learn how to do the Wim Hof breath work. There's a free app online. There's lots of YouTube videos. I would definitely recommend playing around with that style of breath work for sure. But so for me, the breath work helps you through the experience of the ice bath. So now my sister, she texts me and she says, are you in your bucket? And she calls it my bucket because the picture kind of looks like a big, human bucket sort of. So, one of the, and then, I always get asked, well, why would you do that? So there's lots of reasons why you'd want to do it, but simulating that stress experience, getting comfortable in the discomfort is a huge advantage to your nervous system. It's something to where if you can exercise that in an environment, in a controlled environment like that, and you can train your body's response and you can train your nervous system, hey, I can do this. I can get through this. Your nervous system is able to more easily execute that when situations happen in real life that are outside of your control, and those stress responses are triggered. So you can, it's a skill that, or a muscle, if you want to think of it that way, that the more you grow it and build it, the more your nervous system and your body will naturally be able to apply that throughout life and its experiences. So it's something that you can start small. You don't have to go crazy in the beginning. The goal when I first did it, the goal they had given me was 2 minutes. And I made it to the 2 minutes, and that was it. That was good. That was enough for me. There are places if you're listening and you're in Maine, I know Float 207 has the contrast therapy. The sessions are really reasonable. If you go to the WABI's website, I know there's a gift certificate or voucher thing that you can purchase on there where it's even less expensive. So that's something that might be a good option, but they're all over. They have locations, not just Float 207, but in New Jersey, there's locations. If you search, ice bath in your town, there's probably some place, because they're popping up in lots of different places now. So because it's a very beneficial therapy. So, you can go through it in a way that think of it as a training ground for hard times, for stressful situations. It's great for your cardiovascular system. The better you can get at dealing with stress, the more you're going to increase that stress threshold, the more your body is going to be able to manage naturally more easily. It tests you physically, it tests you mentally. The breathing, you're going to learn to focus in on your breathing, because, that's going to be your survival, is being able, and you're going to notice that when you start doing it and the more frequently you do it, that getting in tune with your breathing, and that's going to really help move you through the experience in a better way. And the more in tune you get with that, the longer you're going to be able to sit in that space, and to be able to work through that time. So because you're going to feel agitated, but powering through that is really, really, really helpful. When you think of people with depression, I struggled with depression for a long time. Anxiety was crippling sometimes. And again, teaching your nervous system, like, hey, I can handle really hard things like this, is a huge win in helping that. So those are just some of the good reasons to do it. But your body is going to start to get comfortable with those adrenaline surges, that fight or flight. And you're going to be able to handle those sudden stressful situations a whole heck of a lot better. So it's great if you can do it earlier in the day, because you get that shot of adrenaline when you're in the cold. Your body temperature goes down, but then when you get out, your metabolism increases. So because it's trying to increase your body temperature. So it's great to incorporate into your program earlier in the day if you can. But I've done it at night, and it does not interfere with sleep at all. I haven't done it like right before I go to bed, but I've done it a few hours before bed, and it hasn't interfered at all. So it's something that, if you alternate, if you do have, like, if you go somewhere like Float 207 where they have the contrast therapy, the sauna will help calm you down after that, lower the adrenaline afterward. But you could just do the ice bath. You don't have to do both. It's still beneficial even if you don't have the sauna therapy to go with it. So it's great for muscle recovery. It's great for injury. If you're trying to recover from an injury, it really helps reduce inflammation. It accelerates your fat burning. It's great for skin conditions. We talked about the mental piece of it. Your immune system, it's very helpful for your immune system. That it stimulates that lymphatic circulation. Your diaphragm is the largest pump for your lymphatic system. So, when you're doing that intense breathing and you're figuring out, how to regulate that, and you're working through that, it really stimulates your lymphatic system, which is great. It increases your red blood cell count and increases your growth hormone levels. So that's really important. And it helps your endurance, your recovery, just overall stress levels, and supports your sleep. So these are just some things that, if you want more information about how to get a system or set up a system at home, you can message me, comment. If you've done this and you would love it, whatever capacity, whether it's at home or at a facility or whatever, or maybe it was just a workshop, one-time thing, please comment and let me know, share that with the group, because it's helpful for people to see. It's motivating. Right. And there's no, I don't want to make it sound as if this is easy at all. I mean, my husband will tell you, even now, as many times as I've done it, I'll stand there and, I have to talk myself through it and to getting into it. Because there's a lot of exercise happening in my brain before I step into that ice water. So it's not, I don't want it to make it sound simple, but it's hard until it's easy, right? And you don't really, that's something like that. You don't really want to do it to the point where it gets easy. It kind of loses some of its benefit at that point. But that challenge, there's so much growth that's happening there when you're experiencing that challenge, and that those are techniques and skills that you're going to apply in so many other areas of your health journey, whether it's, trying to transform the way you're eating, or maybe it's another life habit that you're working on or working through, that you're trying to adapt and adjust to, or transform into something different. So it's really great for lots of different reasons. So I thought I'd hop on here and share a little bit more about ice baths. If you're interested, like I said, in learning more about having a home setup, they have setups where it's just the bucket, as my sister calls it. They're saying you can just do the old fashioned way, you can do it in your bathtub. You can get, bags of ice and fill your bathtub up with water and put a bunch of bags of ice in there, get a little thermometer so you can kind of gauge the temperature of the water. When I did it recently, I used the same batch of water. So the first night, the water was about 34 degrees. And by like the third day, the water was about 50 degrees. Therapeutically, 50 degrees is fine. You're still getting a huge benefit of that. You don't have to go to 34 degrees. That's just what so happened to get to with the level of ice that we put in there. So you can do it in your tub. If you want to just get started, you can start with just cold showers. That Wim Hof app that I talked about, they have it's a free app that you can download, Android and Apple, and they have a cold shower challenge. For me, it's actually harder to do the cold shower than it is to just do the full on ice bath, because for me, a shower is something that's enjoyable. And, I don't want to mess up with that time. But where just getting into the bucket, as she says, there isn't already another association like that. Space is for that therapy, and my shower is for calm and relaxing. And so for me, the cold shower is actually harder, but a lot of people will start with that and just do a cold shower for a minute. And I've done that too, but like I said, I think for me, the mental challenge of getting in the ice bath is a little bit more of a help for me. So I prefer to do it that way. But share your experiences, share your stories. I would love to hear more about if you've done it, if you haven't done it, if you've wanted to do it and just haven't tried it yet. Love to have that conversation. So